when UNC finally reached out, I kind of knew in the back of my mind that was where I always wanted to go. That was my dream school, and it just worked out really.
What's going on today? I'm the host, SchuZ Schumaker, and joining me today for the third time is a five-star recruit who is a Sports Illustrated All-American. He also is the number 22 ranked player in the class of 2022, according to ESPN. He's a McDonald's All-American nominee and a North Carolina commit, Jalen Washington. Appreciate you coming on today, my man.
Oh, yeah, no problem. Thanks for having me again.
Absolutely, man. Well, once again, obviously, you're going through a rehab process, going through ACL recovery, torn meniscus a little bit, partially torn, I should say. But how are you handling this? How's the rehab process going for you right now?
I feel like it's going pretty well. I'm just focusing on getting better and improving myself every day. Just focusing on the end goal, which is coming back 100%.
How are you kind of hanging there mentally wise? Like, I know it's got to be challenging, but how you kind of got through this now as you work through now a second torn ACL?
Definitely, the people around me, my parents and my coaches and my siblings, they're really helping me, throughout the process. Just helping me stay positive, and also just prayer. So just praying every night, for wisdom and strength to get through this. I would say those are really the biggest factors in my recovery process.
I know you're a believer. So how big has God been, not just this one process, but both of them now? Like, how big has your faith and kind of been relying on God help get you through these scenarios?
I mean, he's everything. So I feel like, whenever I have, times where I'm struggling, I can just turn to him, pray and ask for his help through whatever adversity I might be going through. So he's played, if not the biggest part in all of this.
You obviously grown up in Indiana. It's where you've been born and raised. You played your high school ball out there now. What's it been like growing up out there?
Um, I feel like it's been pretty good. It's a smaller area, so there's not too much going on, and I feel like that's since I've been around there for so long. That's kind of what I'm used to. So I feel like I'm pretty good. I got a lot of friends out here. Family's pretty tight out here too. So I feel like overall, I say it's pretty good.
You mentioned that that's not necessarily the biggest area for basketball. Overall, the state of Indiana has lots of talent, but like you said, there hasn't been too many superstars come out of that area. We've seen Bryce Drew many years ago. He was the last guy that could win all state. So what's this been like kind of growing up in that area and kind of forming a new legacy, kind of being part of the new era of basketball from that area?
I've never really, paid too much attention to all, like the whole legacy thing. I was just really trying to work as hard as possible and just trying to play basketball really. So I feel like once you do that and just focus on the things that matter, everything else will fall into place.
When did basketball first get put in your hands? Because I know you've been playing now for a long time. I know your brother also plays basketball, but when did the ball first get put in your hands?
I would say probably around kindergarten or first grade. I used to play in the little junior leagues around here, around the area.
Mm-hmm. So did you kind of fall in love with it right away, or did it take time to fall in love with the game?
I think it kind of took time. Just the more I started playing it, the more I felt like I had a passion for it. So I could really see that I had a love for the game probably around seventh, eighth grade.
I was reading somewhere that you kind of developed a special plan with your trainers that's still training today, Coach Bugs, Coach Smith. How big have those guys been in your life? And kind of take us to that plan a little bit. Like, what was their goal for you and kind of the plan that helped prepare you and kind of turn you into the player that you are today?
They've played a real instrumental part in my development. And before I could even see myself being one of these top players, they had told me like they wanted me to be a top player, and they're going to push me to be that. So really, they've been pushing me every single day. Giving me great advice and just helping me grow into a great basketball player.
I know that you didn't have a huge growth spurt. You've always been one of the taller guys in your grade, but you had a big one going into, I believe, your freshman season. But I know those middle school years, like the main focus for you was shooting, ball handling, your skill set. How big was that for you? Because that's kind of what makes you special. Like we know that you're 6'9", 6'10", stretch forward, but you're kind of a versatile player where you can run, bring the ball back occasionally. You can go facilitate, you can stretch out, shoot the ball. Like you're kind of the definition of that modern day small forward that can even run center at times too. So How big was their development for you in terms of your ball handling, your skill set throughout middle school?
I feel like that was always one of the bigger things since I wasn't, always like, the most physically gifted. So just always working on my skill, no matter what it is, the passing, ball handling, shooting, those were um, things that kind of keep your career lasting as you get older and progress.
Has there been a player that you look at and kind of model your game after, maybe even something that you compare yourself to?
There's a whole lot of guys I would say that I try to watch. Like a lot of recent guys that are in college right now that I try to look at their games, like Keegan Murray and Jabari Smith. Those are a couple of the guys. But as far as like greats as far as the game, I would say always like watching Kobe, Tim Duncan, Anthony Davis, Hakeem Olajuwon. Those are just a few of the guys. But I try to take study a little bit of a lot of players' games and try to implement them into mine.
Mention that you're not the only one in the family that plays the game of basketball. Jimmy does as well. He's playing basketball at the collegiate level too. So, what's that been like? I have to imagine growing up with a brother that also plays basketball had to be fun. I'm sure you guys got into it a lot playing one on one, king of the court and stuff. So, what was that like?
I feel like that kind of helped me be the person that I am today. So just always having that big brother that was always taller and bigger than you, it kind of it sprouted my competitive drive. So just having them around always made me better and want to be better.
When did you start being in one on one?
Uh, we haven't played too much in one on one because he used to go to school in Missouri. So I feel like the last time we played one on one would probably be my freshman year. I'm not even sure who won that game. It's probably me though.
So you have got some wins against him though?
Yeah, I think so.
Absolutely. Well, just go into that high school career for yourself because you kind of had the spotlight on you since pretty much the beginning. You've been always been regarded as one of the top players in your class. You've always been one of the more dominant players on the court every time you step out there. So was that always something that you saw for yourself? Like, did you always expect yourself to be one of the top players ever since you kind of fell in love with the game back in middle school?
Yeah. I mean, that was my whole perspective on it wasn't like focusing on everything else. It was just like on trying to get better and trying to get better. So um you know when all this started coming to fruition, I never really kind of pictured it too much. I was just thinking about getting better every day.
When you were coming into high school, was your goal, like you said, kind of becoming a better player, or did you think that okay, I know I'm going to be one of the best players in high school when I leave? I know that I'm going to be able to choose from countless high level Division One schools, or was it just kind of I just kind of want to see what happens over my career?
uh I kind of always thought like being one of the best players in the country was one of the goals,
Hmm.
and wanted to work to get to that goal, to see all those schools recruiting me and have all the accolades.
When did you feel like it clicked for you? Like when did you start feeling like okay, this is kind of becoming a reality now? Like now I truly am one of the top players. I have a target on my back. I can go to any college I really want to. When do you feel like that started coming to fruition for you?
Um, it started clicking a little bit more like this past AAU season when I started getting a lot more attention from coaches. So just really being busy on the phone all day. That's when I started realizing it was like, oh, I'm really in the fire right now.
Absolutely. Well, let's go through this high school career because it's overall in the end day, like when you head onto campus, you can say, okay, in a sense, it was a success in terms of you got to this point now. You got to go to a school like North Carolina. You are a ranked player, but there's been a lot of trials and highs and lows as well throughout your career. So let's kind of go through that a little bit. Your freshman year, you become a noteworthy player. You get ranked on ESPN. You go to Team USA heading into your sophomore year then. Take us to that span though, like just kind of walking to high school, slowly going into the area where you become a noteworthy player, getting on like playing for Team USA or going to mini camps. What was that whole time frame like for you?
It was definitely new because I wasn't used to any of that notoriety and being on that big of a scene. So I would say it was really new for me, and it was a whole lot to take in and learn from.
What was the hardest part for you adjusting to, in a sense, the fame lifestyle now?
um, just just um, just just understanding like who's out there and who's really for you, and just because there's a whole lot of people out there, and I'm not too sure like I feel like I have a better idea now, but just understanding who's really out there for you and who's really not.
One part about you I've always admired is obviously on the court, you're great. And we talked about that before too. But something about you is that you've always remained a humble player. And I know you are a believer today, we mentioned earlier, but that's not an easy thing. Like when you do get all these schools wanting you and you do become a top player, when you know that you're a dominant athlete, a lot of stuff can kind of come with that as well. But you've always remained humble, grounded. You kind of just let it be, like you kind of said, like he just is there. It is what it is, but you work on your game. How have you remained humble throughout all this process?
I would say my parents, definitely my dad and my mom. They're two like really blue collar, hardworking people. All the extra, the flash, and at the end of the day, after I leave the court, I come back and I'm Jalen. I'm not this 5-star recruiter or whatever. I'm their son. So that's one thing that they kind of implemented in me. This basketball is great and all, but you're still a human being. You need to carry yourself in such manner.
Was that something that kind of set in immediately? Like the second you became a big time player, did you just kind of still remain humble? Did it take some drawing back a little bit in the very beginning portions, or was that just kind of who you were from the start to the beginning with it?
I feel like it's one of the things that I've kind of started from start to beginning with, just because I've had them, on my side. So
Yep.
definitely, and my coaches, they're two humble, hardworking guys as well. So just having the combination of them four on my side, it's just I feel like they're like one of the best teams out here.
Then Team USA came in, once again, a huge honor. I know we talked about it a little bit, but just take us through that environment. Like you got to go out there. That's like where you get a legacy that I think every kid dreams of. Like you want to be a part of Team USA to any extent, to any degree. What was that experience like for you?
It was great. I feel like the first time I went out there, I didn't perform as best as I wanted to, but I feel like that made me a lot more hungry for the next time I went out there. And I feel like, well, I had a lot of fun out there too. So every time I got that invitation, I was really excited to go out there and compete with those guys and get a lot of guidance and info from the workers out there.
Not necessarily performing to your best. That's something that you're pretty much with anybody that's in your class because you're playing against some of the guys that are now stars in the NBA today. And that's something that's a unique experience for guys because these guys might only be 2 years on paper older than you, but 2 years when you're at the elite level is a huge difference. So how big was that for you to be able to go out there and watch guys? I believe it was like Evan Mobley was in that group at that point, Cade Cunningham, like those type of guys. How big was that for you and your growth?
It was amazing. It was just being able to see those guys and the work that they put in and understand that they're going to the next level and knowing what work that they've put in to get to that next level. I feel like it was a confidence booster, and also that once again that competitive edge kicks in to want to work as hard as them, if not harder, to get to that level as well and compete against them.
Who was the hardest guy you had to go up against during that Team USA practice, those training camps?
There was a whole lot of guys out there, a lot of guys that are my size. Jabari Smith was one of the guys who was out there. I can't even remember. It was a whole lot. That was one of the guys who was out there, though. Paulo Banchero was out there. And those were just some of the guys that are, around my size, play the same similar position.
Following that time span, you and I first got to know each other. We had an interview then. And then obviously we had one about a year ago when you were just getting back on the court from your first ACL. So let's go through that first ACL tear, though. You had into your sophomore season then, had all this hype a little bit behind you, and you ended up tearing your ACL that time around. Walk us through that experience. Like, how did it happen? Just what happened exactly to have the first incident?
It was really, in practice, I'd, tend to do like a step through type move and I twisted it and I wasn't sure because I had never torn my ACL before then. So, we fast forward a little bit, get the MRI, and then, it's completely torn. So I go through that surgery. So it was really it was a completely whole new different process. And it helped me like form this new look on, not just basketball, but kind of life, just making sure I'm doing the right things and focusing a little bit more on the details, of school, after, not basketball or school related as well, just my, own life, my faith as well. So it gave me a whole new different perspective.
That is a huge thing I hear with a lot of guys that go through serious injuries like that because it kind of takes away in a way, kind of your identity in a certain sense. Like it's what you do, it's what you love is basketball. it makes you step back a little bit. So where would you say you've grown from that first time now, and now this even the second recovery time? Like, what's like maybe the biggest thing you've learned from each kind of process you've gone through now?
That no matter how much you love the game and you love to play the game, it could be taken away at any moment. So just really to value and go as hard as you can, because you never know when the next injury will be, or if that'll be an injury you can come back from.
You recover from that first ACL injury. Take us to just getting back on that court. What was that like, just getting back and playing basketball again?
It was great. I felt like I was really happy. I had for like a month straight. I had smiled every time I got on the court. So it was great. It took a lot of hard work to get back on the court. A lot getting back into shape and getting back to working out. But it was great. I felt happy once I was able to get back.
I was reading a little bit about you, and I kind of want you to explain this through this next process too. But I believe at some point during your junior season, you started playing through the injury in a certain sense. I don't know if it was an ACL at that point or what it was, but you started playing injured in a sense. Go through AAU season, also was injured, or not at least not 100% playing. Then obviously it happens at the NBA Top 100 camp. But was that true? Like, were you playing injured to some extent? Like, was that pain still in your right knee going through your junior season then?
Um, there wasn't. Uh, so I would say there would be times where I didn't feel like I could play to my full capability, so
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't 100% sure if I was injured or not, like what that was. Um, that's what I would say about that. I just wasn't 100% sure what it wasn't 100% sure if I was able to play to my full capability. Wasn't as explosive as I had been before.
And that's what's unique too about you, because I know some of the rankings have dropped you a little bit to the 40s or whatever they put you at, but I know ESPN says you're a 5-star, but you are a player that last year we saw you still dominate the court through high school, still played great through AAU, and that was not even at 100%, like you said. So how are you able to do that? Like, how are you still able to produce as one of the top players in the country, even while not being 100% of the Jalen that we know you can be?
Um, I would say that was just like the work that I put in. So all the shots and just trying to be a student of the game and trying to make the right plays out there and just being real competitive.
Was that challenging at all for you? Like feeling like, okay, I'm not 100% of what I can be. I'm still doing good, yes, but I feel like I could be more. Or how did you kind of take that in while going through your junior season in AAU?
I didn't think of it as much as me, not being 100%. It was just like
Mm-hmm.
there were certain things that you could see guys do that I just wasn't able to do at the time. So I wasn't 100% sure what that had meant.
Mm-hmm.
But like if I wasn't able to do some things that these guys were able to do, I have to make up in some other area.
Well, let's get into the AAU season, because even through all that stuff going on, you still had a pretty solid overall year, and your team was stacked. You guys made the Final Four appearance. You and AJ were the duo that's been together for a long time. Cam at all as well came in. He was a huge development guy. He obviously improved his stock greatly through AAU season. Ty Rogers, we also know what he's capable of. What was this like playing and forming that Mean Streets team this year?
Man, that was like a family. That was the closest I've been to an AAU team. I feel like we really came together when it mattered, and we made a great run. So I feel like that was definitely a memory that it could last a lifetime for us. And we went out there and we played super hard and we made it as far as we could make it.
When you talk about you four, especially the four of you guys that's all going to high major schools, none of you guys end up teaming up. Cam's going to Xavier, AJ's going out there to Miami, Ty's going to Illinois, where you're going to UNC. How excited is that for you, just to know that, okay, we all are going to be able to live out our dreams in a year. We're all playing Division I basketball. We even could possibly play against each other next year as well. How excited does that make you? And just what's that going to be like?
It makes me really excited to know that there's other people, that you went along with this journey with, and y'all are kind of seeing your dreams come true. So it just means a whole lot, and especially that I could, possibly see AJ, on the court next year. So it means a whole lot that we all are, achieving our dreams.
You two are close. You guys have been teammates for a very long time now. When you guys do match up Miami versus UNC, what's going to go through your guys' minds? What's that game going to be like?
Man, we finally making our our dreams come true, and it's gonna be real competitive though. So whenever we step on the court, we're gonna give 100%. and we're gonna try to win. So at the end of the day, it's gonna be all love.
Will that be the first time you two have played against each other in a game? I'm sure you guys have played one-on-one or whatnot, but like in a true organized game, will that be the first time you guys have gone against each other?
Yeah, yeah.
And take us to the story a little bit. Like, how did you guys first get to know each other? Because you guys have been on meet streets for a long time. Obviously, you've done different events and camps together too. But when did you guys first get to know each other?
So I used to play on a Mean Streets team over here in Indiana when I was in 7th grade. He played on a team in Chicago in the 7th grade. Then on 8th grade, I started playing with them, so we started talking a little bit more. And then I think 9th grade was when we started the E15, and we were going around, flying around. We shared rooms with each other. So I feel like the bond started a little bit more off the court than it did on the court. And then we had just built up a rapport, and then y'all know the rest of the story. That's my guy.
When you guys were going through the recruiting process, I know you guys are similar in a certain sense of like position wise and that, so it might not have worked teaming up, but was it ever crossing your guys' mind? Did you guys ever discuss possibly going to the same college together?
We both went on a visit to Marquette the same day.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that was one of the schools and then I think we had talked before about another school because we had shared the room that same day. But I think one time I feel like it came to mind was probably Marquette when we had planned to go out there on the same day.
If you guys did decide to go to Marquette or anywhere in the country that you guys could have teamed up together, how special would you two have been at the college level?
I feel like we would have been really special. He's got insane athleticism. I feel like I'm really skilled, and then we both been playing with each other for so long, so we got that connection. And competitive players who really got to drive to win. So I feel like we could have made a great impact together.
When you look at your entire AU season, Final One is all over now, but what was the biggest thing you learned about yourself throughout that final AU season?
The biggest thing I learned about myself through that AAU season, I feel like the biggest thing, because the setup of Peach Jam and EYBL was like every day you're gonna have another battle. So I feel like you might have lost the battle today, but there's gonna be one the next day. So just after taking a loss or an L, just mentally preparing yourself for the next step. So I feel like that was one of the things one of the biggest lessons that I learned, just constantly preparing myself for the next battle or the next thing to come.
Following EYBL, Peach Jam, and all that, you end up going to the NBA Top 100 camp, a very big time camp that is well known, well regarded amongst everyone that's a top player. So you get out there to that event, and that's where I believe you end up tearing your ACL. Then take us through that whole situation.
Camp was great. There were a lot of players there who shared knowledge and insight while we were playing on the court and while we were off the court. I feel like it was a great environment to be in. It was really competitive, great spirit all the way around. When the injury came, it was definitely a shock because I couldn't believe that I was going through it again. But I feel like I had been through it before, so I could just definitely get through it again. Just try to the second time going through it, just try to make sure that really buckle down and make sure it doesn't ever happen again.
What day of the camp did that occur on? And right when it happened, did you know? Okay, you knew what it was. Like you kind of exactly knew what the pain was, and you kind of figured out. Okay, I know it's gonna be the same process again.
So it happened. It happened on the last day of the camp before we had flew out. So it happened on July 30th. I didn't. I thought it was anytime like you get that type of pain, you don't specifically. I mean, you don't necessarily like automatically think that it's going to be one of those type of injuries. So I always kind of stayed positive and didn't really think that it was too serious of an injury.
When you did end up finding out that it is an ACL and also partially torn meniscus, I believe too, what went through your mind?
There was a lot of there was a little bit of doubt that crept in because nobody ever was like, once you get through that first time, you wouldn't ever like picture yourself getting hurt again. So I feel like my parents definitely and my coaches helped me get through that little hump of doubt. And once I got over that hill, it was just kind of like, all right, I was back in that mode. All right, let's get back to it. Let's get back to work. Let's just get to the recovery process.
So you are now, I believe, a few months into this now. I think 5, 6, 7 months now, something like that. So how much longer do you feel like you're going to be 100% and able to compete in scrimmages and games again?
Oh well, when I talked to my PT, he said I'm about halfway there. So, well, I'll be at 4 months towards like the end of this month. So I feel like I'm progressing pretty quickly, and I'm just trying to make sure that I'm building myself up so that the likelihood of this injury happening again won't ever happen.
I know UNC fans, which we're going to get into next, is going to be excited about you getting out there. Can they expect you to be ready 100% for opening tip of your freshman season?
Definitely. You can expect me to be working hard as possible to get back as soon as possible as I can. Make sure that my body's strong enough to compete on that level, and definitely gonna follow the trainer's plans and to the T, and just gonna keep staying positive, and whatever they have in plan for me, we'll follow that.
Is there a certain target date? Like, is there a date that you're hoping to be 100% or at least pretty close to 100% by?
So the typical recovery time, I think, is like for either 8 to 9 months. So either within that May or June period, we're gonna be tested and be down there, and we're gonna see what my body's like.
I know you were already committed to UNC when it all occurred. So obviously, I have to imagine that Coach Davis and everyone is well aware of the injury. So have they been helping throughout the process at any extent? Like, have they been giving you advice for it? Has the trainer over there helped you at any extent? Like, take us to that if they have any impact.
Definitely, they've had a huge impact in it. They've when the injury occurred, they really helped out. So just having them in my corner, it really helped out a lot. In constant contact with them, and they're always encouraging and helping me out for whatever they're able to do and whatever they can do.
Well, let's get into this recruiting process. North Carolina, that's what a lot of fans are excited to hear about. So let's head all the way through this process because it's been a long, drawn-out process. You've had countless offers throughout this recruiting process. You've gone on many different visits as well. So just kind of walk us through everything that happened because I know you didn't necessarily give out a final group. Obviously, it was like a mixture of schools we know you went on visits to. So who did this come down to for you? Like, who really was your final 2, 3, 4, 5 schools in the mix for you?
So there were schools that I were looking forward to recruiting me, but just due to circumstances, I felt like I was ready to commit. So I wasn't sure. I don't think there was definitely like a final group of school to that was going to come down to, just because I was still open. My recruit was still completely open. I hadn't cut my list down yet, but when UNC finally reached out, I kind of knew in the back of my mind that was where I always wanted to go. That was my dream school, and it just worked out really.
That's what we're just going to actually ask you because I know I don't ever ask that when you guys are going through the process because I can always get into a lot of different headline stuff from that question. But growing up, was UNC your favorite? And like you just said, it kind of was. So what kind of caused you to fall in love with UNC growing up?
Just their winning pedigree, always seeing them on TV, for the championships and all that in the tournament. So just being able to see them and see those colors on the TV, it was real inspiring, and I had a lot of admiration for that program and the culture and the fans.
Obviously, for the most part, a lot of that's staying the same. You're still going to Chapel Hill. You're still going to be a Tar Heel. The logo is the same. The coaching change has changed, though. Obviously, it's not Roy Williams anymore. It's Coach Hubert Davis. So did that impact you at all? And just, if not, like, just what was so appealing about Hubert Davis? Like, how was he able to win you over? Because at the time, obviously, in a sense, was a rookie coach. He still is a rookie coach. So how did he win you over?
The thing about Coach Davis, I feel like what separates him from all the other coaches is that he's going to build that relationship with you, and he's everything that he is, he's going to have it all up front. So that was definitely one of the biggest things for him. He's upfront about his faith. He's upfront about his relationships and what he wants for the program. And I feel like those were all things that fit me and fit my personality and my life. And I feel like that's what won me over.
Some of the visits you did go on include Stanford, Purdue. I know you also mentioned Marquette to a certain extent too. How are those visits like? Just like, because that wasn't something you guys got to go on for a long time. But for the most part, recruiting was all virtually done. So getting on those visits, seeing these coaches, seeing the campuses, what was that like for you?
It was great just because I had never, basketball gives you the ability to travel and go pretty much all over the country. So just being able to use basketball as an outlet to go out here and see different things and experience different schools and different states, it was great. Stanford, it was California. That was my first time being out there. So
Mm-hmm.
just being able to go out there and I'm there for basketball, but I'm also taking a whole lot of different things in.
What was the funnest visit you went on?
Uh, Definitely, I would say definitely Stanford, just because my first time out there. There's a whole lot in the area right there. I would say that's the funnest visit that one.
Take us through the point it clicked for you and you realized, you know what, UNC is where I want to go. Was it during a visit? Was it a little bit after it? Was it just right before you announced it publicly? Or when did it click for you and you said, you know what, I want to go to North Carolina. I'm going to become a Tar Heel.
Uh, when I would say when I got the offer, because I knew that was where I wanted to go if they reached out. Um, I would say it came back. The feeling came back when I went on the visit and I got to meet everybody there. That's when it all kind of started settling in that that's really the school I wanted to go to. But I wanted to wait till I finished all of my visits and come back and consider all my uh, consider everything before I made a decision.
So it's pretty much always like, okay, North Carolina's up here for me. Everyone else to kind of compete them and get over them if they want a shot at me.
Yeah, definitely.
So let's go through that visit then. It's obviously, I know everyone talks about UNC visits. They're always special. They're unique. They're fun. I mean, you're going to Chapel Hill, so it doesn't get too much better than that in terms of iconic, legendary, historical places. What was that visit like?
It was great. I feel like it was everything that you could kind of want in the college visit. You got to meet everybody, who's in the program and the important people at the school that that kind of deal with you. So as far as my major, they wanted me to meet people at the business school and talk to them. The academic advisor, talk to her. Just the players, get to see them play. The trainer's physician, training coach, strength coach, just getting to see everybody and what they're all about and what their plan was for me when I got there on campus.
When you did get to go see all these players and everything going on there, what stood out to you the most about the campus?
Um, Other than the colors like the light blue, but just how dedicated they are to winning, and I feel like that's definitely a environment that I want to surround myself and people that I want to surround myself with.
Your 2022 class is special. We're going to get into that a little bit more, but did you happen to know any of those guys before you commit there? Like, did you have a good relationship with Tyler? Or did you have a good relationship with Seth or with Will?
No, I didn't. I didn't. Me and Seth started growing our relationship a little bit more after we had both committed. And we were going to Peace Jam because we were actually at the same hotel.
Hmm.
And then once the rest of the guys committed, we kind of just made a group chat and just checking up on each other and just talking to each other, trying to build up a rapport.
When you look at your guys' class, it's a top 10 recruiting class in the country right now. Obviously, has the talent though, because of your case, if you were still ranked where you probably think you all should be in the 5-star category, the class would probably be more closer to 5 or something. So, you guys, at the end of the day, this is a special recruiting class coming in. How special do you think you guys can be? Like, what can UNC fans expect from this recruiting class?
I think you can expect a bunch of guys that's going to want to come in and win. I feel like, that's what we play the game of basketball for, is to win. So we're going to do whatever it takes to get out there and get Carolina fans some wins. We're going to get better each day, and we're really going to compete and play together.
Is this recruiting class finalized, or is there someone else you guys are targeting to try adding on to 2022?
To my knowledge, I think it's been finalized. We've all signed.
Absolutely. Well, when you look at your visit, what was the biggest thing that you took away from your visit in terms of experience? Like, was there one moment that stood out the most to you that you enjoyed going on a visit, rather be talking to coaches, meeting the different players, or a certain dinner or something? Like, what was the favorite memory you created on that visit?
I would say it would be at the dinner table, just having my parents being there and sharing that experience with them, and them looking like really comfortable with me, with the coaches, and the players, and just the whole environment, and just seeing the smile on their face, and their emotions being positive towards the school. It meant a whole lot to me.
Are there any players on the roster currently that you're close to or that you've gotten to know since you commit there?
Not really Will, since he's just reclassed and made his way up there.
Yeah.
Not but players.
Now, when you look at the coaching staff, you mentioned Coach Hubert Davis, but are there any of the assistant coaches you've become pretty close to?
Oh yeah, Sean May for sure. He's another Indiana guy. He's a real legend out here. I admire his game as well. So just to have somebody like that two former players that are your coaches, it means a whole lot, just because players got a whole different perspective on the game. So it meant a lot to have him recruiting me and just getting to know him, and us growing our relationship every day.
What can UNC fans expect from you when you get out there as a freshman and forever, however long you are out there for? What can we expect from Jalen Washington at UNC?
I feel like you can expect a winner, a person who wants to go out there and compete every single play. As far as like playing style, like to stretch the floor out. You can expect a person who's going to be able to shoot the ball, unselfish person who's going to want to get his teammates involved in the game, going to want to rebound, run the floor really hard, play defense on every possession. Really coachable player.
Mm-hmm.
Smart guy out there as far as trying to understand the game and being a student of the game as well.
Is there a UNC player that fans can maybe expect from you in terms of a comparison? Like, is there a certain player, present, past, whatever it is, that you have some similarities to in your game?
I'm not sure. I'm not the biggest sports analyst, so I'll leave that up to everybody else. There are players that I'll try to watch and for certain situational moments, try to be a student and understand what they're doing and what they're thinking and why they're doing it.
Obviously, people look at UNC in the past 2 years, hasn't necessarily been up to their standards. It's not been bad by any means for a typical Division I program. They still can make the tournament this year too, but UNC is typically a program that people look at as a top 5, top 10 team year in, year out. So you guys are going to obviously be able to get back up there as a top 5 recruiting class, potentially, with the potential returners like Amanda Baycott could also come back another year. Dawson could come back. A lot of the different factors too. So when you go out there as a freshman, how good do you think that freshman team could be?
I think we can be great. I feel like we can be a pretty great team, because I feel like all the guys are down to do what it takes to be good players and to be good teammates.
NIL has also become now a big factor for a lot of guys, and that's been a new thing that's come in. People are still learning how to deal with it. Did that impact your recruiting to any extent?
I would say it did a little bit, because the fans in North Carolina and the audience that it has a great audience. So I feel like that would just be a bonus with going to the school.
Absolutely. Well, something I was like wrapping up is discussing your legacy, and I know that all guys want to be remembered for something. So when you do end up stepping away from the game of basketball someday, what do you want to be remembered for what you achieved both on and off the court?
I would definitely say my positive impact. So I definitely want to be remembered as a winner, a guy who went out there and got wins, and got championships. A guy who just really left it out all on the floor every single night, and a person who tried to really impact my community in any way that's possible.
We also mentioned earlier that you are a believer. So take us to your faith a little bit. Like, how have you seen God help get you to the point that you're at today?
I feel like he shows what he wants from me in different ways. So I try to reflect sometimes after things that happen to me and think like, why is this happening to me, and what's God's purpose for me? So I try to be a little reflective and think towards the positive, and just pray and kind of ask for wisdom and understanding.
I know that's not easy for anyone, especially when you are a believer. Like, you always get to that point where you go through a trial or tribulation, whatever it might be, and you start to obviously question like God in a certain extent. But those that are obviously firm believers know, like you said, that at the end of the day, it's in God's hands. He's got a purpose for this. Was that something that you just immediately realized, like when you go back to your torn ACLs or any downs or lows you've had throughout your career, did you immediately think of that, or did it take time to kind of develop that mindset?
I feel like it definitely takes time. Having the people that I've been surrounded and blessed with, it really helps out having them in my corner and just letting me know that, God has a purpose for everything that he does. Nothing that he does goes without meaning.
I've always admired too that you are someone that's outspoken about your faith. You have dream in your bio, both in Twitter, Instagram, which means you just rules everything around me. You also are just outspoken. We talk about faith multiple times on our interviews. What's led you to be so outspoken, and what's kind of called you to say, you know what, I want to be outspoken. I want to spread the light and be the light in the world?
I would say just because if you have something that's good, you would want to share it with somebody else. So, God has been Jesus has been really good to me, and he's impacted my life in a great way. So I just want to share that to who's ever willing to listen.
Absolutely, man. Well, my final thing for you, give North Carolina fans your 3 biggest goals that you have set for your UNC career.
Come back 100% healthy, ready to play. Give 100% every night, make it to the Final Four.
Absolutely, man. Well, Jalen, I appreciate you coming on today. Best luck the rest of this process. I hope to see you back out there 100%, man. Keep being the light, and I'm excited to see what God got next for you, man.
All right, bro. Appreciate it.
Of course. You're always welcome on, man. God bless.
You too.